gonna have tea in here. And I drink the tea. Hello there. I'm AJ, which stands for Avid Enjoyer of Once Upon a Time, a show that I simply can't stop thinking and talking about. I'm making this because I'm making all of my friends and family listen to me about it, and I have this habit of derailing every conversation I have into being about Once Upon a Time, which I don't think is good. If you don't know anything about Once Upon a Time, it was a fairy tale soap opera that ran on ABC from 2011 to 2017, featuring primarily Disney characters. The central premise of it all was that everyone in fairy tale land got like super cursed, or sorry, dark cursed, to live in the real world, like the land without magic, our world, and also in Maine, and also no memories, and also they were frozen in time until the savior could save them, which takes about 28 years. Enter 11-year-old Henry Mills, who figures all of the like cursed stuff out because of a magic storybook that he got from his first grade teacher. No, fifth grade teacher. He's 11. He's 11. He's in fifth grade. That's math. Why did I say first grade? After figuring out all the like magic fairy tale curse stuff, he figures out also that he thinks that his biological mother, Emma Swan, is the savior that's going to save them. So he runs away from home, which is in Maine, Storybrooke, Maine specifically. That's the cursed town where they can't leave from because they're cursed. So he goes to find his biological mom, Emma, all the way in Boston, where she's a people finder, a bondswoman, a bail bondswoman, a bail bondswoman. Uh, so and that's kind of, and like he brings her back, and the first season is him trying to convince her that magic is real, everyone in town is fairy tales, and also that his teacher is her mom. And he's right about everything. The next 6 seasons. The show got a total of 7 seasons. The next 6 seasons of it abandoned this first premise because they fixed that in the first season. And then everything else is they like reach into a grab bag of various villains from Disney and other classic literature, and they just like pick one out, and that's the villain for the season, or half of a season. That's the villain for half of the season, and then they have another one for the other half. I've said a lot of things that aren't related to what I actually want to talk about right now today, but what I actually would like to do is go over the family tree from Once Upon a Time. Because if you know anything about the show, you probably know that the family tree is a little bit of a mess, and a little bit, people will call it a family wreath as opposed to a family tree sometimes, um, which isn't inaccurate. My thesis for today is that the family tree is not actually that complicated. Family trees in general are just complicated because you're doubling the amount of people you're working with every like generation as you go up or down. And it's not actually that bad. The reason it looks worse is because there's time travel shenanigans. Not time travel shenanigans, time freezing shenanigans that make this a little harder to deal with. The real key to like understanding the family tree is to pick one point and just go from there. You can't just look at all of it at once or you'll drive yourself mad like sirens on the rocks. Our point that we're picking today is Henry Mills, the kid that I mentioned earlier, who I believe is kind of just like the center of the whole show, even though the show doesn't believe he's the center of the whole show. I think that personally, me, myself. Um, 2 little warnings before we like actually go is number one, I'm spoiling the entire show for you. A lot of the family tree is like some kind of twist reveal that they do, and I don't care about spoilers. And if you're and I hope you don't also, because tough luck. Sorry. Number 2, I've actually not seen the whole show. I'm only on like halfway through season 6. I'm only halfway through season 6, so I technically don't know everybody that's on here. But I did get to an episode that did reveal something, so I might have to add something in the middle of the presentation. First character, Henry Mills. If you can't read it, it says the author on there also, because that's who he gets to be for Fairy Tale. He gets to be the author. Otherwise, he's like a normal kid. He's the one who figures out the entire curse. I mentioned that. And he figures it out before like the show even starts, and he spends the entire first season convincing everybody that it's real. That's fine. That's great. Emma Swan is Henry Mills's biological mother. She is also the savior and ostensibly the show's main character, though I really don't believe them at this point. Next up, we have Henry's biological dad, Neal Cassidy, or Balefire, which is not a fairy tale character also. That's just his name in the Enchanted Forest, where he grew up. When Emma met Neal, when these two met, because they didn't get married, they just kind of dated for a bit. When Emma met Neal, she didn't know that he was from the Enchanted Forest, and she also didn't know that the Enchanted Forest was like a thing. I'll get to it, I think, later. I think we'll get to it later. But Emma Swan was sent through a portal as a baby to stop the curse, so she grew up as like an orphan, not knowing anything about her parents. After these two meet, Emma and Neal, and they have like kind of a whirlwind romance situation, and then Neal kind of accidentally frames Emma for stealing a bunch of watches that they were going to steal together, except Neal gets stopped by Pinocchio, so he can't help Emma. But so Emma gets arrested for stealing the watches, which is how she goes to jail, which is where she finds out she's pregnant with Henry. She chooses to give Henry up at this point, a decision I don't fault her for. The show kind of does sometimes, it seems like. But she was also 18 when she had the kid, so it's not like great circumstances or situations. Anyways, Regina Mills also featured up there. Can you tell who my favorite character is? Regina Mills is the mayor of Storybrooke and Henry's adopted mother, and the first like actual fairy tale character that we get, because she's the evil queen from Snow White. Absolutely hates, despises Emma for being Henry's biological mom when she first gets to Storybrooke, and then they spend like 4 seasons bonding about being Henry's moms, and now they're best friends, and that's beautiful, I think. Taking like a quick second here to explain my key, because I have a lot of strings and cards on the board without having explained that really quickly. Each parent line gets its own card color. The Mills is our pink, the Swan / Charmings, we'll get there, are yellow, and the Golds are green. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but that's okay. No, it's okay because we're taking it one step at a time, and we're just taking it one generation at a time. And that's perfect, and that's easy, and that's beautiful. Right now we got Henry Mills, his mom Emma Swan, his dad Neal Cassidy, his mom Regina Mills. That's a pretty normal family structure, I would say, probably. The strings! The strings are as such. Pink for dating, kind of like a fling. Red for marriage, haven't gotten there yet. Blue for like a parental thing. I put a little A by Regina's to remind you that it's an adoption, so you don't get confused. And green for a secret third thing that we'll get to later.
Tiny little marriage string.
Tiny little marriage string for their tiny little marriage. That's readable. By your face, I can tell it's definitely readable.
It made a little loop.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, fine. All right. Be dramatic. Be dramatic. We need extra tape on Emma.
They're really pulling down that marriage string.
Hey, that's what babies do.
So,
All right, next up we have Emma's parents, Mary Margaret Blanchard and David Nolan, otherwise known as Snow White and Prince Charming. Am I right now regretting a little bit making the Storybrooke real world names really big and not the fairy tale names really big? Maybe a little bit. But we press on, no, in spite of it all. These are the two, so these are like the king and queen of like the kingdom. They don't specify what kingdom in the Enchanted Forest, just like the kingdom. And they do in the Enchanted Forest fight Regina a lot about it, about the kingdom they're trying to take control of. The whole first season is their like rom-com thing, so I'm not gonna like get into it. What is important about them for our purposes right now is that they had Emma, and as a baby found out Emma was going to be the savior, and so instead of keeping her with them, they put her in a magic wardrobe and shipped her off to a different realm with no parents and no guides. So Emma got raised as like an orphan, and Henry had to convince her that these two people who are her own age because of the time freezing, because of the time freezing in the curse, that's actually her parents, and they are. You may be looking at this and saying, "Well, AJ, isn't that the evil queen from Snow White? And isn't that Snow White from Snow White?" And I'd say yes. But we're not there yet. You may also be wondering why Regina is so far away, but we'll get there. It's necessary, and you'll see why. Was it my like brightest idea to tape a bunch of things to my whiteboard that I could write on? I think yes. Much later into the show, around like the third or fourth season, these two have another baby because their adult daughter they abandoned apparently isn't enough for them. It's also partially because Snow White's real life actress Jennifer Goodwin had an actual baby, and they needed a way to explain the pregnancy. So you know that's fine. Fun fact: Jennifer Goodwin is married to Prince Charming. Snow White and Prince Charming are married in real life. Their actors are. I think it's kind of silly. You may be noticing also that this baby is named Neil, which is the same name as Neil, Emma's first like boyfriend, and Henry's dad. And you are right, and that's not a coincidence. So again, spoilers. Neil dies in like season 3. And that's around when they have the baby. And as a way of honoring Neil, Prince Charming and Snow White named their new baby Emma's younger brother that they had because she wasn't enough for them as an adult daughter. They needed a baby. They named him Neil after Emma's recently dead boyfriend and also Henry's recently dead father, with no input from any outside source, and it's supposed to be like a cute thing. And I think I have a lot of things I think about this. I think you can probably tell. I just don't know why you do that. I just don't know why you do that. Anyway, so they're in the same generation because that's Emma's brother, but he is a baby. And Henry is older than him. And I bet a lot of people have baby uncles that are named after their dead dads. I bet there's at least 3 people out there in the real world that have happened to them. So now we have Henry Mills, we have his mom Emma Swan, his uncle Prince Neil Baby, and his grandparents Snow White and Prince Charming. We're here already. Alright, the next character we have, he doesn't have a string yet, because I have to put more characters on, but I don't know how to introduce this guy, because you've probably heard of him, but if I just tell you, like, if I just tell you who his, like, fairy tale counterpart is, it doesn't even begin to explain who he is in the show. is Rumpelstiltskin. He's also known as Mr. Gold. No first name in Maine. It's crazy not to have a first name in Maine. That's what I'll say. He is Rumpelstiltskin, like from Fairy Tale, except he's also the dark one, which is a Once Upon a Time original. But because he's Rumpelstiltskin, he does have a thing about making deals a lot, and also stealing babies is a big part of his character. He also has a lot of other fairy tale roles that'll become relevant as we go, potentially. Yes, no, they will. Some of them will. But for right now, all you need to know is that he's Neil's dad. He's Balefire's dad. Rumpelstiltskin named his son Balefire. I actually think that one fits. There's going to be some naming things. There's a lot of naming conventions in this show that I can't get behind. Rumpelstiltskin to Balefire, that's one that I can. That one's fine. So Neil's, okay, I guess I do Rumpelstiltskin and Neil's whole thing. What their whole thing was that Rumpelstiltskin became the Dark One to protect Neil, his son, from the Ogre Wars. But in doing so became like the most evilest guy ever and was really bad to be around. And Neil did not like that his dad had become like that, so he found a way to get to a place where his dad would no longer be evil and he could like have a normal family. And it was a portal to a land without magic. And Balefire went through the portal. Rumpelstiltskin did not. Abandoning his son. So, Rumpelstiltskin's whole motivation for the first 3 seasons of the show is finding his son again. And that's the whole reason the curse happens, kind of. It's I'm not explaining the plot. I'm just explaining the family tree. It's just, that's Rumpelstiltskin, and that's his son. And that's all. This is Mila, Rumpelstiltskin's first wife and Balefire's mom. According to my co-writer, she sucks. I like her. I think she's fun. But I also have notably poor taste in women. She absolutely hates her husband that she's married to. She thinks he's a coward, and she tells him this constantly, and he can never do anything right. And then he becomes the Dark One. Well, actually, she runs away before he becomes the Dark One. She does run away and abandon her family to be with another man, but that's fine. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. For now, that's all you need. This is Belle French, Rumpelstiltskin's second wife. And you know, Belle French is Belle from Beauty and Beast. I don't think Belle French like necessarily like communicates that. I should have said that from the get-go. This is Belle from Beauty and Beast and also Rumpelstiltskin's second wife, which does make him the Beast from Beauty and Beast. It's not because he like gets turned into like a beast or anything. Like he doesn't actually get turned into a monster, except for when he gets turned into the Dark One, which is kind of him getting turned into a monster. But he's like just scaly. He's not like a furry. He's not a furry and he's not a scaly either, but he is covered in nasty gold scales. And Belle likes that until season 6, where she doesn't.
I think in a lot of times the Beast is depicted as a reptilian.
Really? The Beast is, oh, okay. I honestly, besides Disney, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I have also heard of that vaguely. I don't know. Is Beauty and Beast based on that book also? I don't know. Fact check me. Notable things about Belle, Rumpelstiltskin's second wife, is that she doesn't leave him for another man, but maybe she should have.
Wikipedia says it's a fairy tale written by the French novelist Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve.
You want to try that one again?
And published anonymously in 1740.
Interesting.
You know, okay, so it was like a short story sort of vibe.
Oh,
maybe.
okay. Cool.
Published
It's interesting.
with, like, others.
There are things that I like do take for granted as being within the fairy tale canon that when you actually look into them are like the same amount of weird as like Wizard of Oz being in the fairy tale canon, but you know. Speaking of leaving your husband for other men, Killian Jones, otherwise known as Captain Hook, the man that Mila ran away from Rumpelstiltskin to be with. She also she faked her death when she ran away. He is Captain Hook from Peter Pan. So Peter Pan is in Fairy Tale, I guess. Well, specifically Neverland. There's a different Neverland land. So the reason that he is Captain Hook, he was just Killian Jones, notorious pirate, when Mila met him and ran away with him. But Rumpelstiltskin later, after he became the Dark One, found out about Mila running away from him with Killian Jones. Wait, no, I'm wrong. Rumpelstiltskin found out about Mila running away with him with Killian Jones before he became the Dark One and thus held a grudge against Killian. No. Rumpelstiltskin believed Killian killed Mila originally, when Mila originally ran away to be with Killian. Rumpelstiltskin thought Killian killed Mila. He went to go find Killian and kind of duel him about it while he was still a normal coward weak man, and instead found out Mila was alive and had just left him. And Captain Hook kind of made fun of him at this point or something. And so Rumpelstiltskin held the grudge against Captain Hook for a while until he became the Dark One. And then he went to go get his revenge, which meant killing his ex-wife and cutting Killian's hand off, making him Captain Hook, and also killing the only woman he loved. So now he's also the crocodile from Peter Pan. Not because he ate Captain Hook's hand, just because he cut it off and has scales. Okay, that's fine. The other thing about Killian Jones is that he's Emma Swan's main love interest for most of the show, 5 seasons of it or something like that. So the timing for this does work out, because remember the 28 years of frozen time between Emma's parents and Emma and everybody else in the town and Emma. And also Rumpelstiltskin's hundreds of years old because he's immortal because of Dark One. But everyone kind of around him except for Mila. Wait. No, he just meets Belle much later. Mila's dead, so that's fine. But Killian and Neil both get kind of stuck in Neverland for some 100 years or so, enough to make them age appropriate for Emma in the present day. Mostly age appropriate for Emma in the present day. Looking at the board, you may notice that we've encountered our very first circle! Yay! It's okay. It's okay. There is a circle here that does connect Emma Swan to Neal Cassidy to Mila to Killian to Emma Swan. There's a bit of a loop happening there, which is super normal. I bet a lot of people's grandmothers have exes that dated their mother. Probably. This is not the only circle we'll encounter, but it is the first, and I do think it is special for that reason. So right now on the board, we're getting more people. Right now we have Henry Mills, his mom, Emma Swan, his uncle, Prince Neil as a baby, his grandparents, Mary Margaret and David Nolan, as well as Henry Mills, his dad, Neal Cassidy, his grandparents, Mila and Rumpelstiltskin, his step-grandma, Belle, who hates it when he calls her grandma, and his mom's boyfriend and grandma's ex-boyfriend, Killian Jones. Beautiful. Oh, and also his mom, Regina Mills.
I think I was wrong.
Oh, wrong?
I feel like it seems like a lot of times he has sort of a boar's head. Okay. Or a monkey.
A boar's head, a monkey.
Not he's not really reptilian in any of these that I'm seeing.
So that's a Once Upon a Time original.
No, but I have seen an illustration like that. I just think that might not be a common thing.
Okay. Okay, because Killian's on the board, I put his family on the board also. We're not going to spend that much time on them. That's his dad, Brennan Jones, who sold Killian and his older brother Liam into servitude when he needed gambling money and then ran off. And then Liam, Killian's older brother, died on Neverland, making Killian a pirate. And then Killian ran into his dad many years later while he was working for the Evil Queen, who was trying to test him for a different mission by making him kill his dad, and Killian wasn't going to do it, and then he did end up doing it, so he did kill his dad, who at that time had another son, who he also named Liam, and then that son came back. Only reason Liam's times 2 is on the board is because that son came back and tried to kill Killian at some point. Fine. Do I have to put his name on here that we know it now? Fine. Now we know his name. Now he has to have a name on the board. God, season 6 sucks, dude. So, in seasons 5 and 6, Rumpelstiltskin and Belle have a baby, and for a while, I didn't actually think they were gonna, and in drafts of this, I had the baby as Baby Supposedly, and for a while it was unnamed because they hate to name babies early on Once Upon a Time. One baby even went full episodes of having been birthed in the world before she got a name. I don't know, man. This one recently got born where I'm at. So, his name is Gideon. He's the Rumbell baby. And also, his adult version keeps showing up to Belle in dream realm visions and telling her to leave her husband. Belle did send the baby away with fairies, instead of keeping it in a place where gold could get to him and potentially do bad things, I think. Be evil around the baby, which is a thing Belle was really trying to avoid. Oh, God. We just keep getting worse and worse. Okay. Next we have Cora Mills, Regina's mom. The worst person in the entire series. The worst mother in the entire series, specifically. All she wants is to be royalty and have power, and she will do literally anything and everything that she can to get there, at the expense of her entire family's happiness. She's like pretty manipulative and abusive towards her daughter, who she says she loves, and I never believe her even once when she says it. She fully kills Regina's first boyfriend because she wants Regina to marry a king. We'll get there. And she convinces Regina to blame a literal 10-year-old for the death of her first boyfriend. The 10-year-old is Snow White, by the way. We're getting there. I don't know what to tell you. She's the miller's daughter from Rumpelstiltskin. Regina's the baby Rumpelstiltskin was gonna take, and then Cora, weasels her way out of that deal. And she's also the Queen of Hearts when Regina banishes her to Wonderland? Sir Henry Mills Sr. is Regina's dad. He's not of a fairy tale character, except for maybe the King of Hearts, if you count that. He's just married to the Queen of Hearts. And she traps him in Wonderland for a bit. But he's, the only person Regina really loves as the evil queen. She always has her dad around her, and he's, giving her advice constantly. She does kill him, because that's what the curse, the dark curse that starts the entire show. Regina's the one who casts it, and in order to do so, she needs the heart of the thing that she loves most, and at first she thinks it's her favorite horse, and it's not, it's her dad, so she rips her dad's heart out and puts it in the potion, and that's how she casts the evil curse. Maybe I should have marked who's dead. Okay, one more person, then we're moving on. That's Zelena. She's the Wicked Witch of the West. She's Regina's older sister, Wicked Witch of the West from Oz. I'd have to do the math later, but I feel as though we have more characters from not classical fairy tales than characters from classical fairy tales on our characters on the board. But anyways, that's Regina's first daughter, not Sir Henry's first daughter. There's gonna be I have to talk about her a lot more later, so I'm not doing that much right now. Okay, as it stands on the board, we have Henry Mills, his mothers, Emma and Regina, his dad, Neil, his grandparents, Snow White and Prince Charming, Rumpelstiltskin, Mila but she's dead, Belle but she's alive, the Queen of Hearts and the King of Hearts are also his grandparents, and his various aunts and uncles, like Zelina, and Prince Neil Baby, and Gideon? That's his uncle. That would be Neil's stepbrother. Or half-brother. So that's his uncle. And also, Killian Jones, his mom's boyfriend and his grandma's ex-boyfriend, and his future stepdad. But that's in the musical episode that I haven't seen yet. And his uncles, the Liamses, but only one of them's alive, and whatever step-grandpa, maybe, not yet, future step-grandpa, who's also dead, so it doesn't really matter.
Maybe you mentioned that Regina, his mom, is also his step.
We're not there yet! Okay. Snow's parents aren't even on the board. I really probably should have planned it out a little more instead of just starting to slap things down willy-nilly.
I think you should take another sip from your mug.
Thank you. Thank you for caring about my hydration. Can you even see it? I'm being thematic. Okay, I added new people to the board, and also I added a string I forgot to kind of talk about. I mentioned Cora's from the Miller from Rumpelstiltskin, the fairy tale. I didn't mention that in this version of the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale, Rumpelstiltskin and the Miller's daughter fall in love. Kind of? I don't, believe it when it happens on screen, but they do want me to believe it. So they have a whole thing that they do while Rumpelstiltskin's the dark one. This is, I think, while he's not currently married, I believe. I know for certain he's not married at the time that happens, but Cora does almost convince him that he's, the one for her, and then Cora rips her heart out because love is weakness, and then she marries Sir Henry instead, who she doesn't love. Or even like that much. She does kidnap him later and bring him to Wonderland, but I don't think they're good for each other. Oh. And we're gonna talk about her, a lot later, but Rumpelstiltskin taught Cora magic. Cora knows magic. He also taught Regina magic, because she's the evil queen and she knows magic. And he also taught Zelina magic, who's the Wicked Witch of the West, the only one of these whose title would inform you that she should know magic. But all the Mills women over here do know magic. And the thing is that, for some reason, they're all taken with this scaly man. If you're made upset by the 3 romance strings connecting mother and daughters to the same man, you're with me. I also really don't like it. And unfortunately, we've added more circles. I think... Yippee! No! Don't cheer for the circles! I don't know how many even, because Regina to her mom, to Rumple, to Regina, to Zelina, to her mom, to Rumple, to Zelina, to Cora, to Rumple, to Regina, to... Wait. My least favorite thing about it is that it's covering up space where I'm gonna need to put a lot of cards later. Okay, I have to actually talk about the names I added to the board. I have to be normal. I have to be normal. Ruth, Robert, David's parents. David, who is Prince Charming, also was a shepherd. These are his farmer parents. The way he becomes a prince is weird, but not the weirdest. It looks bad, just because I put the cards on bad. But this is King George. He's the king of a different kingdom. Which kingdom? They never tell. I don't know. I don't know, man. That's just King George. He's also Albert Spencer in the real world. I don't know why I did him like this and no one else. He's in desperate need of a royal heir, so he asks Rumpelstiltskin to get a baby for him. Rumpelstiltskin goes to these two farmers, Ruth and Robert, because they just had twins, identical twins, and he takes one of their babies, James. So James gets adopted by King George and becomes the prince of whatever kingdom King George is the king of. So that's Prince James. Then Prince James dies as an adult because King George is a bad dad and put him in danger, I guess. So James dies, and the king's like, I can't let anybody know my son died. I need a replacement. So he asks Rumpelstiltskin to get him a replacement, and luckily James had a twin brother, David. So David pretends to be James until he meets Snow White and falls in love, and then he gets to just be David or Prince Charming, whatever. So he was originally a shepherd, like a farm boy, and he had a twin brother who's a prince. Who they got Prince and Poppered, I think.
How did James die?
In the first
don't remember.
2 episodes, one of the first 2 episodes, James gets stabbed in a duel.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fast. It happens immediately. This is the first family tree twist they do, is that David had a twin brother, and he's not even the, original twin. He's the replacement twin they got for the prince. It's so funny.
Oh.
What?
I just... Wasn't David married to Catherine, technically? You don't have her...
They're divorced. He was married to Snow White first. The Catherine marriage was not binding. That happened in fake Storybrooke memories.
Right, but he kind of was married to her.
David was married to a woman named Catherine Nolan, who was in the fairy tale forest, somebody that he was engaged to before he met Snow White, but they broke that engagement off because Catherine had a different true love. So David and Snow White got married in the Enchanted Forest, but in Storybrooke, part of the curse was that David was married to Catherine, so that Snow White would be kept from him. They do adultery in the first season about it. And then they get their memories back and realize they were married first, so it's fine. We're gonna do... Well, that's the beauty of strings, is if I were doing this marker style, I'd have to be constantly erasing things to make room. Unless I planned it out well from the beginning.
Which would be crazy.
Which would be crazy. No one would ever do that. Okay, next we have Queen Eva and King Leopold, who are Snow White's parents. And if you know anything about Snow White's fairy tale, you know what happens to her. But there's more to it, a little bit more to it. Wow, I wrote a whole bit to do in here, and I kind of hate it now, looking back at it. Do you want to know what it was?
Mm-hmm.
And if you know anything about the story of Snow White, you already know what string I have to put up next. Psych! It's actually this. Because I don't even know if that reads.
I don't think you can even tell.
So the joke was that you would think that I would put the string between King Leopold, who is Snow's dad, and Regina, because that's the evil queen. And if you know anything about Snow White, you know that her stepmom is the evil queen. But then the joke is that I put it between King Leopold and Cora, Regina's mom, because that's actually what happens in the show. I don't think it's that funny. I thought it was funny when I wrote it down, or else I wouldn't have written it down.
I think it's way funnier when you explain it like that.
It's probably funnier when I explain it, right?
Don't say that. That's not funny.
Oh.
Cut this.
Cut this. Cut this, cut this, cut this. So, okay. Cora and Leopold's whole deal. Before Cora had either of her daughters and she was the worst mother in the entire world, she met this guy who pretended to be a prince to try and trick Cora into, like, sleeping with him, which worked successfully. She gets pregnant. That's how she has her first daughter, Zelena. Zelena's dad is this, random guy. Sorry, he was buried in my cards. This Cora had a fling with this random guy who tricked her into thinking that he was a prince. That's how she had Zelena, who she gave up for adoption. And by gave up for adoption, I mean that she put Zelena in a basket, left her in the middle of the forest, said, "This is my best chance for a happy ending." Walked away, and a tornado picked up the baby and brought her to Oz. And Cora just didn't follow up on that. I don't know if she called the tornado. I don't know if she saw the tornado coming. I don't know if she had any knowledge of what was going to happen to the baby when she left it in the middle of the forest. But that's how Zelena gets to Oz, and that's how she becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. When Cora gets pregnant and is tricked by this guy, she goes to, like, the actual castle to kind of complain about it to see if, like, she'll find him there. Who she finds instead is Prince Leopold, the actual, prince in the kingdom. And they start to hit it off a little bit. Enough so that Leopold is almost willing to call off his engagement to Princess Eva, a princess of a neighboring kingdom. What kingdom? I don't know. However, Eva hears about this, gets jealous about it, because that's her arranged marriage to future husband. And so she finds out Cora's pregnant, tells everybody in the kingdom that Cora's pregnant, and Cora, and that breaks up Cora and Leopold. But they did have, like, a thing that kind of happened. Years later, though, in Cora's search for actual nobility, royalty, because she's a noble now because she married Henry, but she's not a queen yet, and that's what she wants, is for her to be queen, or for, at this point, her daughter Regina to be queen. So she orchestrates a scenario in which Regina saves the life of baby 10-year-old Snow White, who was born at this point. First Cora kills Eva when Snow is like a kid. Cora Mills kills Queen Eva, making Snow White lose her mom, and then Cora manipulates and orchestrates a situation in which her daughter marries King Leopold. She gets Regina to save baby Snow White's life, and King Leopold proposes to Regina about it. I think that's the most unbelievable part of the story. The show tries to play King Leopold off as, like, a good guy. I don't think so. So now Regina Mills is Snow White's evil stepmother in the past. So on the board at this point, we have Henry Mills. Do you remember him? Henry Mills, his mom's Emma Regina, his dad Neil Cassidy, his grandparents Snow White and Prince Charming, Rumpelstiltskin, Mila, Belle, and Cora, the Queen of Hearts and the King of Hearts. But also, Regina is Henry's great-great-grandmother, as well as his adoptive mom. And that one is harder for me to find, like, a real-world explanation of. I bet it's happened.
The I'm My Own Grandpa song.
The I'm My Own Grandpa song! This is true. I don't think it's quite the I'm My Own Grandpa song. Henry Mills is not his own grandpa, thank God! No! It feels weird to drink out of his chip when it's not really a chip. The texture's different.
Yeah.
If I was left-handed, it'd work better.
You can just hold it with your left hand.
I can't, I'll drop it. Wow, the board's really filling up. Okay.
Yeah.
And we still got a bit to go.
Oh boy.
I might abandon the ending bit, depending on whether or not I can fit them on the board.
Yeah. It does feel a little
Crowded?
superfluous.
Yeah, I know. It's mostly for my enjoyment.
especially since you didn't even put Catherine Nolan on the board.
They were fake married!
It was a real legal marriage. In
No!
the real world.
Can anything be real and legal if all the documents are forged by magic?
Yeah.
You can't ask me anything about Rumpelstiltskin's mom, because I found out about her literally last night. And I'm still mad that I have to put her on the board. She's the Black Fairy. I don't have anything. I don't have literally any other information about her. There's nothing else I could tell you. His dad, on the other hand, is named Malcolm. How do you get from Malcolm to Rumpelstiltskin? I don't know. What I do have is confirmation that Malcolm named him. That's the only information I got from his mom in the last episode, was that she didn't pick out a name for him. Malcolm did that. Okay. So Malcolm's fairy tale counterpart is Peter Pan. From Peter Pan. The father of the oldest character in the show, famously oldest guy in the show, is the boy who doesn't grow up. Don't look at me. I don't want to talk about it. These are Belle's parents, Sir Maurice and Lady Colette. He was an adult man when he had Rumpelstiltskin. Lady Colette dies in the Ogre Wars. But he, misses being a kid and having no responsibilities so bad, because of his gambling addiction, I guess, that he fuses with a magic shadow on the island, becoming Peter Pan. And Sir Maurice is Maurice from Beauty and Beast Disney. If they made him pretty bad. And the stupid thing is, it's Robbie Kay who plays Peter Pan, and I believe them when Robert Carlyle is looking at this small boy, this teenager, and calling him father, papa. I believe them! They're good! They're good actors in the show, and it makes me so mad. I feel like tears in my eyes. I can't. I hate this one so bad.
He's like a nobleman.
Yeah, he's like a nobleman. He's a nobleman for some reason. Okay, I've already said a little bit about Zelena, and Random Guy is on the board right now. But I do have to talk about Zelena a little bit more, because I feel like I haven't touched on her at all, and she's actually a very big villain in season 3 and becomes kind of a reoccurring cast member because the writers had so much fun putting her in. So some more information about Zelena. And number 1, she, along with her mother and sister, I've already mentioned this a little bit, learned magic from Rumpelstiltskin, and apparently is into whatever he has going on, like her mother and sister. I hate it here. I hate it. Number 2, the Wicked Witch of the West famously is green. There are a lot of different reasons given for this in various Wicked Witch of the West properties. The one given in this one is that Zelena turns green when she's jealous? There's not a more explanation given. It's just that when she gets jealous, she turns green. Not even because of a spell or anything. It just happens. She's mostly jealous of her sister, Regina, because she thinks Regina got everything that she didn't get, like a loving family. I wouldn't call this a loving family, necessarily, but Zelena wanted it anyways. Number 3 about Zelena. She baby-trapped her sister's boyfriend by pretending to be his dead wife. Everybody say hi to Robin Hood! We finally got to the green string, the secret thing that I mentioned. The green string is for baby trapped your sister's boyfriend by pretending to be his dead wife. I don't know what other kind of relationship that would be. So this is Robin Hood's full first family that he had in the Enchanted Forest. His wife, Maid Marian, his son, Roland, with Maid Marian. Marian dies, and then later in Storybrooke, at some point, Robin Hood falls in love with Regina, and they date for a little while, And then some weird things happen wherein they think Maid Marian is brought back to life through time travel nonsense, but actually it's Zelena disguised as Maid Marian because she's trying to steal a thing that Regina loves, which is Robin Hood. So Robin Hood, because of various convoluted reasons, has to leave Storybrooke with his dead wife. Not actually his dead wife. They stay in New York for a while, and then Zelena baby traps Robin Hood and has a baby about it, and everyone else finds out that it's Zelena. It's a whole thing. And then, this is the baby that they waited 1,000,000 years to name, because they had to wait to name her until Robin Hood Sr. died in the show. Spoilers. Robin Hood Sr. died. Robin Hood Sr. died because Zelena's boyfriend, Hades, killed him. And that's why she named her baby that she had Robin after her dead father. Which, that's absolutely fantastic naming conventions happening here. Oh, one I forgot to mention. Regina named her adopted son after her dead father. That's the only way we know how to name babies around here. Let's do a quick recap of what we have on the board. Henry Mills, our center of the universe. His mother is Emma and Regina. His dad, Neil Cassidy. His grandparents, Snow White, Prince Charming, the Queen and King of Hearts, Rumpelstiltskin, Mila who's dead, Belle who's alive. His varying aunts and uncles. Prince Neil, who's a baby. Gideon, who's also a baby. Zelena, who's not a baby. His great-grandparents, King Leopold, Queen Eva, and Regina. Ruth and Robert, those are great-grandparents. Sir Maurice from Beauty and Beast is Henry's great-grandfather. Malcolm, Peter Pan, is Henry's great-grandfather. I think they acknowledge that in the show. I think they literally say that in the show. God, it sucks. And then Robin Hood is also here. And he's dead. And Regina and him never got married. So I don't actually know how Henry is related to all of these guys, except that his aunt had a baby with, so that's his cousin over here. And look, I could be done here and now if I really wanted to. We could call this the family tree and say we're good. Or I could be brave and bold and add the characters that I really want to add onto here. Because there's a little thing about Emma Swan that you should know. She grew up in the foster system in the real world, and one of her foster moms was named Ingrid. So that's Ingrid, Emma's foster mom. She has to go up here. There's no other room. There's room over here. Wait. She's a little higher this way. Okay. And then I can fit her whole family into... Yeah.
I believe in you.
I believe in me too. I can't believe you didn't believe in me for a second. The reason I do feel justified to have Ingrid on the board is because Ingrid did almost adopt Emma before circumstances went kind of awry. Like, this was the closest thing Emma had to a family, and the arc that Ingrid is a part of is so centered around family and familial ties. I think it's kind of weird not to have her on the board for how tied Emma and her are supposed to be for that arc. My bit will work. My bit will work. Okay, this is Helga and Gerda. They're Ingrid's sisters. They're both her younger sisters. For reasons that happen in the show, Helga dies, so you don't need to worry about her that much, and Gerda also dies, but later.
Imagine, like, something makes none of this work.
What? If something makes none of this work,
all of it.
I'm never doing anything ever creative in my life again. This is King Harold and Queen Sonia, these are Ingrid, Helga, and Gerda's parents. They're not, like, super important. That's King Arundel. That's Gerda's husband. He's not given a single other name in the show, which means that we can officially put Elsa Frozen and Anna Frozen on the board. These are King Arundel and Queen Gerda's children. Did I have to put any of these guys? No. Did I want to? Yes. Because I kind of I think it's funny to make the Wicked Witch of the West be on the same board as Elsa from Frozen. They're in the same family, baby. What can I say? I don't make the rules. I was willing to manufacture a lot of things to kind of make this happen, and I didn't have to manufacture that much to make it happen. You can put almost anyone on the show in the family tree if you just kind of expand your definition of family enough. You're kind of lucky that I didn't find a way to put Cruella de Vil on here because I love Cruella de Vil so much. Oh, wait, no. Oh, no, wait. Where? Cruella de Vil has a fling with Prince James in the underworld. She's on the board, baby. I would recap the board. I don't think I can. I have a couple of times, as you've been watching. But I think it's all pretty plainly laid out to see, and I think that if you say that the Once Upon a Time family tree is too complicated, you're wrong. What I have laid out here, I would say is very intuitive and simple to understand. You just look at Henry and kind of follow the strings up. I didn't do a circle counter. I meant to count how many circles we had. I think there's at least 4. I could be wrong. But what's really impressive is that there's 4 circles and no incest. Which is a big win, I would say. I hope you've learned something today from this. If nothing else, I hope you had fun. And remember, if you stretch the definition of family just right, you too could put Merida Brave on the family tree. On your family tree, if you want. I think I have to be done now. I think I have to be done. Well, I don't have anything. Cut this. Maybe cut this whole thing.
Wrap it up.
Maybe cut this whole thing.